In this Blender tutorial, I'll show you how to create this procedural asteroid with craters material. And then after we create the procedural material, I'll show you how to join it together into a custom node group so you have customizable values to control the material. So we have the overall scale, so you can change the size of the material depending on the size of your object. We also have this crater scale, so you can make a bunch of small craters, or you can make a few craters and just have some larger ones. And then we also have the crater size, and this is going to scale the size of each individual crater. So you can have a bunch of small ones or make them a bit bigger. And then we also just have the noise scale. Then we have the different colors here. So we have color 1 and color 2 just to change the base colors. Then we also have the crater's distortion. So this will kind of distort the edges of the craters. So you probably only want to turn this up a little bit because if you turn it up too high, it'll kind of break the shape of the craters. And then we also have this crater's depth. And so this will push the craters deeper into the asteroid. Then we have the roughness of the material. We also have this bump strength to make the surface more bumpy or less bumpy. And then we also have the displacement strength to pop out the mesh, so you can have it very smooth or make it really bumpy. And if you'd like to purchase this procedural material and help support the channel, you can do that on my Gumroad store and my Patreon page. The links are in the description. And if you'd like to purchase all of my procedural materials, definitely check out my Ultimate Blender Procedural Material Pack, which comes with all of my procedural materials pre-set up for Blender's asset browser with custom thumbnails, sorted catalogs, and customizable node groups. So once you install my procedural material pack as an asset library into Blender, you can just drag and drop the materials into your projects to quickly add materials to your 3D scene. You can also purchase my procedural material packs, which are packs of 10 materials, and you can also get any of my materials individually on my Gumroad store. And to learn how to create any of my procedural materials, you can check out my Blender procedural material tutorial playlist. The link is in the description. So real quick, I'll show you what I have set up in the 3D viewport if you want to set up the blend file the same way that I have. So I went to the add menu and I went to mesh and I added an icosphere. And I wanted to add an icosphere because I want to add an object which has lots of geometry so that the displacements have more geometry to pop out the mesh. Now if you click right behind me, there's going to be this add icosphere setting, and I'm going to turn the subdivisions up to 6 so it is nice and smooth and round, and I will use the object context menu and shade it smooth. Then I'll scale it down to 0.2. I'll press Ctrl A and apply the scale, so that's the default size of the object. Then I can move the object over, and I can press Shift D to duplicate, and I'll duplicate this. And then I'll hit the Tab key to go into edit mode, and you can click on this button here to turn on the proportional editing. And then you can select some vertices, you can hit G to grab, and just kind of move this around to make a cool shape for an asteroid. So here's the asteroid that I came up with by using the proportional editing. Now I also added a camera and some lights, so I first just added this camera, and I pointed the camera at the objects. And then if you select the camera and you click right here to go to the object data properties, I turn the focal length up pretty high to about 110 just to kind of zoom the camera in a bit because I like kind of that more flat look with a higher focal length. Now as for the lighting, if I just go into the rendered viewport mode, I added a few different area lights right here. So I added this first area light. This light is kind of on the back just to give a rim light. Then I added this light down here, and this is kind of like a slightly blue light. So you can kind of see it's giving it a bit of a blue light on the object. And then I added this light here. This was just another area light kind of on the background for a rim light. And then finally I added this big main light here just as the main light on the object. Now I want the asteroid to look like it's in space, so here on the world properties I just deleted the world so there is no world, and so that way the background is just fully black. And then if you want to set the background to transparent, you can go up here to the render properties, you can open up the film tab and just check mark the transparent button if you want to use a transparent background, or you can also just use a black background. And then also here on the rendering engine, I'm going to be using cycles because I'm going for realism, but you can use Eevee if you want to. And the cool thing about the new Blender version in Blender version 4.2 is that Eevee supports material displacements, so this will work great in Eevee if you want to use it in Eevee. And then also let's go down here and open up the color management, and I set the view transform to filmic, and I set the look to very high contrast. So I'm in the shading workspace, so I have the 3D viewport right over here. I'll just make this a bit smaller so we have a bit more space. And then over here I have the shader editor. So I'll select the object, let's click on new to add a new material, and I'll rename this to asteroid with craters. And then I will click here on the drop down and I'll click and drag and drop this material onto this object so they both have the same material. And then I'll also be using some of the features of the Node Wrangler. So if you don't have the Node Wrangler enabled, you can click on edit, you can go to the preferences, and here in the add-ons tab, you can go to the search and you can search for a node and just check mark the Node Wrangler add-on, and I'll show you how to use the Node Wrangler in the video. So we're going to start by creating the texture for the craters. And so to do that, we're going to be adding a Voronoi because the Voronoi texture has little dots. So if I go to the add menu, I can search for a Voronoi texture. Let's drop it here. And I can hold down the Control and Shift key and then select the Voronoi. And that is going to preview the node on the object. And make sure you are in the rendered viewport mode to actually preview the material. Now with the Voronoi texture selected, I'll press Control T, and that is using the feature of the Node Wrangler add-on. It's going to add the texture coordinate and mapping nodes. Now I want to use the object coordinates, so we'll put the object into the vector of the mapping, and the object coordinates will place the texture on the object more evenly. So now we can change some of the settings of the Voronoi. So on this F1 here, I'm going to change this to smooth F1 instead, and that'll smooth out those edges. And then here on the scale, we'll turn this up to a 14. But then we'll leave all the settings how they are. So now I want to put the Voronoi texture into the displacement to make it pop out the mesh. So let's put the distance value into the displacement, and I can Control Shift and select the principled shader to preview it. And for now, let's take the base color and let's make it darker just so we can see the material a bit better. So you can see it looks like it's kind of bumpy, but it's not actually displacing the mesh. That's because we need to go to the side panel and we need to go to the material settings and open up the settings and go to surface. And we want to change the displacement type to displacement and bump. And this is telling the material that it can use the displacements. So we can close this now. Now there's still some issues. You can see it's jutting off to the side and it's really sharp. That is because we need to convert the black and white data into displacement data that the shader can use. So we'll go to the add menu and we're going to search for the displacement node, and we'll put it between the Voronoi and the displacement, and I'll stick this down here, and we want the Voronoi distance to go into the height value of the displacement. And then this scale here, we can turn it way down, and I'll turn it to like a 0.03, so it is much less strong. Now there's definitely a lot more things that I want to do to this. It is actually popping out of the mesh and it looks correct, but I want to add a lot more detail, and it's kind of just lumpy right now. So one thing that I want to do is I want to add some noise to the Voronoi to make it look noisy around the craters. So let's drag the texture coordinate and mapping back, and I'll go to the add menu, and I'll search for a noise texture, and we'll put the noise between the mapping and the Voronoi. So this is going to distort the Voronoi because the noise texture is going through the vector. And then we can change some of the noise texture settings. So here on the scale, I'm going to turn this to 20, and we can turn the detail to the max of 15, and we can leave the other settings how they are. Now this is distorting it way too much, and we can't even see the craters now. So I want the noise to have less of an effect over the Voronoi. So I'll go to the add menu, and I'm going to search for a mix color node. We'll put the mix between the noise texture and the Voronoi, and this mapping vector, this can go into color A, and we can drag this down, and the noise factor can go into color B. So now we can drag the factor around, and if it's turned to 0, it's not using the noise at all, but then as I turn the factor up more and more, it's slowly using more and more of color B, which is the noise. But if it's turned down to 0, it's just using color A, which is just the normal mapping. Now you can see the texture is being moved around a lot. So I'm going to click on the mix here, and I'm going to change it to linear light instead. And this way I can drag the factor and it's distorting it, but it won't move around the texture. So that's looking really cool. You could make some really cool textures with this. However, I'm going to turn the factor to a very small number of 0.013, just a 0.013, and that way you can still see that there's some noise around the craters, but it is much more subtle. Now I also want to add a color ramp to make it more contrasty, so I'll go to the add menu, I'll search for a color ramp, and I'll stick it here after the Voronoi. Let's select these nodes and drag them back and maybe down a bit so I have a bit more space. And now if I drag the two tabs together, you can see that it's going to be a lot stronger and more contrasty, so I can clearly see where the craters are. So I'll drag this black tab kind of to about here, and I'll also drag the white tab over to about there. Now you can see there is a problem, and that is that there are some really flat spots, and that looks kind of weird, but we're going to be mixing this with another texture to add more noise over the material, so you don't need to worry about that right now. We're just going to focus on the shape of the craters. Now I also want another node which will control the size of the holes. So if I go to the add menu, I can search for a hue saturation value, and I'll put this between the Voronoi and the color ramp. So the hue saturation value has the value which is going to make the colors lighter and darker, and the lighter and darker values are going to make the holes really small or really big. So we'll be using this later in the custom node group. Now if I zoom in here on the edges, you can see it's quite sharp, and I want to make that a bit more smooth. So I'll go to the add menu, and I'll search for the RGB curves, and I'll put the RGB curves after the color ramp. Now if I click here in the center to add a tab, or add a little dot here, and then drag it up here into this corner, you can see that it's going to become much more smooth. So you can see how round that is, whereas before when this was dragged down here, it's like super sharp. So I'm going to drag it up a bit, kind of to about here, so that it's much more smooth. So this is definitely looking more like an asteroid with craters, but it's really smooth right now. So I'm going to be adding in another texture, and we'll be mixing that into the displacement just to add some more noise. So I'll go to the add menu and I'll search for another Voronoi texture. We can drop it up here. And again, I want to use the vector from the mapping. So I'll put that into the vector of the Voronoi so that it's using the object coordinates. Let's Control Shift and select this Voronoi, and then I will change some of the settings. So I'll turn the scale to like an 8.7 so that the holes are smaller. And then I'll turn the detail up pretty high to like an 8 so it's more detailed, but I don't want to turn the detail quite all the way up. So now I can use this Voronoi, and this Voronoi has lots of noise because we turned up the detail, so we can mix this into the displacement. So to do that, I can click on this linear light here, I'll press Shift D to duplicate it and drop it here after the RGB curves. But then this linear light here, I'm going to click on the linear light type, and I'm going to change it to darken, so it just adds the dark values. So now we can take the Voronoi texture distance, and I'm going to put that into color A, and then the RGB curves color can go into color B. So now we're mixing them together, but it's just going to add the dark values. So let's Control Shift and select the principled shader again, and I can now drag this factor up, and as I drag up the factor more and more, you can see that it's going to add more and more of the RGB curves here. That's color B, and that is the craters. Whereas if it's turned to 0, it's just using this Voronoi texture, so it looks pretty cool, but it doesn't really have the craters. So then as I turn up the factor, it's adding the dark values, so it's adding more and more of the craters. So I'm going to turn the factor to a 0.6. I can also hold down the Shift key and right click and drag over this wire and let go. That'll add a reroute, and I'll just drag the reroute down here just to keep my nodes nicely organized. And that way I have a little bit more space here before the shader. So now I want to just finish up the shader. So let's turn the roughness up. I'll turn the roughness up to like a 0.8 so it looks more like rock because that was a bit too shiny. We can also put the Voronoi texture distance into the base color, and that way some parts will be lighter and other parts will be darker. But then I want to have custom colors over the Voronoi. So I'll go to the add menu and I can search for another mix color, and we'll put it between the Voronoi and the base color, and the Voronoi distance can go into the factor. So now here on color A and color B, we can make the colors for the crater. So for color A, I'll make kind of like a light gray. And for color B, I'm going to make this a much darker gray. And if you want to use the same exact hex values that I'm using to get the same exact colors, color A, if you go to the hex value, you can punch in 595959. And color B, if you go to the hex value, you can punch in 262626. Those are the colors that I'm using. And then I also want to add just a little bit more surface bump, so we can put the distance of the Voronoi into the normal to give it some bump. But you can see there's some weird shading issues, and that's because we need to turn the Voronoi texture into normal data so that the shader can use it. So I'll go to the add menu, and to do this we can add a bump node. So we'll put the bump node between the distance and the normal here, the principled shader, so just stick it right there. And then we actually want the distance from the Voronoi to be going into the height value. So now I can drag the strength value, and that's going to control the bump. So I'm going to turn the strength to like a 0.22. I think that's a pretty good amount of bump. Now there's one more thing that I want to do to the material, and that is if I zoom in here, I kind of want to make some spots pop out a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is go here to the RGB curves, and I'm going to click on this dot here in the corner, which is already here, and I can drag it out. And you can see if I drag it out closer and closer, then some of the spots away from the holes, so some of the spots around the holes, they're going to be popped out more and more. So that looks a little bit better. I like just kind of popping out those spots. Just makes the material look a bit more interesting. So that is it for the procedural material. So I'll now show you how to join this together into a custom node group. So I'll click and drag to box select all the nodes, and I'll press Ctrl G to join it together into a node group. Now if I hit the tab key, that is going to go in and out of the node group. So I'll drag the node group over here. Let's drag it out to make it bigger, and I can copy the material name and I'll paste it here into the node group. Let's hit the tab key to go to into the node group, and I'll press the N key to open up the side panel. And if you click here on the group tab, I can double click on the BSDF here, and I'll just rename it to shader because I like how that looks a bit better. And then if I go over here to this side and go to the group input, we can plug values up to the group input, and then we'll be able to control those values outside of the node group. So the first thing that I want to do is control the overall size of the entire material, and this mapping node is plugged up to all the textures. So the scale value will control the size of the entire material. So let's plug the scale into the group input there, and then if I click on the scale right here, I want this to be one value instead of 3 values. So on the type here, I'm going to change this to float instead, and then you can see it goes away. That is because it's turned to 0, so I need to turn the default value to 1, and then if I hit tab to go out of the node group, I need to turn the scale back to 1. So now this will control the total scale of all the textures. So I'll hit tab to go back into the node group. Now I also want to control the crater's scale, so this Voronoi texture is the craters, so I'll put the scale into the extra socket there, and I can double click on this to rename it, and I'll rename it to crater scale. Now I also want to control the crater size. So this hue saturation value, the value is going to make it lighter and darker, and that is, as you can see there, it's controlling the size of each one. So I'll put the value into the extra socket there, and this one I'll rename to crater's size, or you could call it crater's individual size, whatever makes sense for you. Then I want to control the noise scale, so that's just the noise over the surface. So this Voronoi texture here has a scale value, so I'll put the scale into the extra socket, and I'll just rename this to noise scale there on the side panel. Then I want to control the custom colors, so I'll drag the group input up here, and we can take color A, put that into the extra socket, and color B, put that into the extra socket, and you can click on them to rename them, and I'll rename this to color 1 and color 2. Then I want to control the crater's distortion, so if I go back here to this linear light, this value is distorting it more and more, so I can put the factor into the extra socket, I can click on this, and I'll rename it to crater's distortion. Then I want to control the crater's depth, so if I drag this back over here to the darken, you can see there's this factor here which is going to add more depth to the craters because it's making it darker, so I'll put the factor in the extra socket, and I'll rename this to crater's depth. Then I want to control the roughness of the material, so let's take the roughness from the shader and put that into the extra socket, and then I want to be able to control this bump strength, so we can take the bump strength here and put that into the extra socket, and right here on the side panel, let's rename this to bump strength. And then I also want to control the displacement strength, so that's controlled by the scale here, so on the displacement scale, we'll put that into the extra socket, double click on this to rename it, and I'll rename that to displacement scale. So I'll drag the group input back here, I can hit the N key to close the side panel, and I'll hit the tab key to go outside of the node group. And there's the finished final material, so I'll just review the material. So we have the overall scale to change the size of the material, and then we also have the crater scale, and then just the crater size to change the individual size. Then we have the noise scale, and we have the different colors, so color 1, and we also have color 2. Then we have the crater's distortion and also the crater's depth. Then we have the roughness to make it more rough or more shiny. Then we have the surface bump strength, and then finally the displacement strength to pop out the mesh. So that'll wrap it up for this video, so I hope you found the tutorial helpful, and thank you for watching. And if you'd like to help support me and this YouTube channel, you can purchase this procedural material on my Gumroad store, or you can also get access to it if you join my Patreon page. So the links are in the description. And if you like using procedural materials in your projects, then definitely check out my Ultimate Blender Procedural Material Pack, which comes with all of my procedural materials preset up for Blender's asset browser with custom thumbnails, sorted catalogs, and customizable node groups. You can also purchase any of my materials individually on my Gumroad store. And to learn how to create any of my materials, you can check out my Blender Procedural Material Tutorial playlist to learn how to create more materials. So I hope you found this helpful, and thank you for watching.